The big one that we really get all the time is somebody that's looking at their return, and we do tax reviews for all of our clients. Whenever we go over their return and they just say, I'm stuck. Like I'm maxing out my 401k at work. I'm taking advantage of my HSAs. COVID really opened up a lot of, different ideas for people to have that side gig that ended up turning from a passion project into, maybe some revenue. You take somebody like that, have them go buy a house and turn it into an Airbnb, you're getting probably 20 to 40% in deductions off the sell price of the house the year that you close on that property. And you know, that can reduce your tax bill by a significant way if you're a high income earner or in a high tax state.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Pros podcast. I'm Kristen, and I'm here with Andrew Gold of Prestige Wealth Management. So we're going to get all into your money today. Thank you so much for being here, Andrew.
Thank you for having me.
So how did you get in this industry to begin with?
Oh yeah, that's, kind of a long story. I feel like, whenever I was, much younger coming out of college, I really got into the world of finance and realized how big it was. I think everybody, especially in my generation, grows up watching, different movies like, The Boiler Room, Wolf of Wall Street, all those different types of things. And you start to, see the life. I actually didn't start out in the industry investment world until, much later. And, kind of provided an interesting perspective. But my first inkling of getting into the investment world was actually trying to understand everything that was going on. And I was studying in college, and I was actually trying to find a quiet place on my campus. And I ended up stumbling into a really dark room with a bunch of ticker symbols flashing around all over the time. And it was just an interesting thing. It's kind of like knowledge by exposure, just to absorb it, from all the world around you. So that's kind of cool.
And your background is in tax, correct?
Yeah, so taxes, I did some financial consulting before I got into the investment advisory business, but yeah, a little bit of everything in the finance world.
I mean, I feel like that could be such an asset, for your clients who are looking for both the wealth management advice and the tax advice as well.
Definitely, yeah, it's kind of unique in our space. Most people when they go in to meet with their financial advisor, if anything tax related comes up, they hand you a business card for somebody from their networking event down the road, and that just means for most people who are procrastinators by nature, we're busy. That means more meetings, more time out of your day to focus on other things. It just makes it nice to have it all in one place.
Amazing. So, a lot of people don't want to talk about money, or they're embarrassed to, or maybe they leave stuff out. How do you establish trust, as you're bringing on a new client so they feel comfortable, telling you everything?
Usually, I think education is always like the best form of communication, especially when it comes to building new relationships. I think, if anybody that tries to almost like circumvent, the topic in general,
Mhm.
it makes it really hard. So I usually go at it just like straight on and say, it takes longer to build a trust bridge than it does to burn one. So let's try to build a really strong foundation, get to know each other. And
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
we're in a luxury business of being able to kind of choose who we're going to be able to work with and the best fit. And so I think if you take it from an approach of education and let's make a friend, that we'd see what we can do together and provide some value, and then you can make that decision. I think it's much better than trying to sell somebody over the phone, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. And talk to me about your client base. Who are they and what are they trying to build or what are they working towards?
Yeah, so I'd probably say, Prestige was founded, around, 50 to 70, more like retirement income planning. I think over time, as the wealth has kind of built up in the country, you're getting more and more people that have maybe worked traditional jobs and, coming out of college, and all of a sudden they look up, they're 35, they got two kids, maybe they changed jobs for that competitor down the street, and now they've got these funds, which they've never really had to focus on thinking about. They know taxes are terrible, and now they're trying to just find some things that make them feel good about, what's making them work so hard every day. So that's usually that like younger client that's trying to gain some knowledge and strategy in their life. And if we can save money on taxes as well, then that's a huge benefit.
Yeah, and like what role does tax strategy play in long-term wealth building?
Oh, I mean, I think it's kind of like the gift that keeps on giving, or as they would say, like the leaky sink, of your wealth over time. Most people are not even really too sure because of how much money they're paying in taxes, because of payroll, because of all the deductions. With taxes, I mean, the IRS tax code is three times the length of the Bible almost, and it changes pretty frequently. So I think that's something that's really shocking. And here we are with our CPAs, and we know a lot of great CPAs out there. I'm not speaking on all of the CPAs' behalf, but a majority of them don't meet their clients until, February, March of every year. A lot of the strategies that you can put in place to save money have to be done before December 31st.
Hmm.
So, having that conversation throughout the year really puts us in a position of strength to not only know what we're paying, but also having those, really productive conversations about, hey, if I could spend this money here rather than giving it to the IRS, then that's a win-win for us.
Absolutely. Can you share an example of a client who, maybe thought they were doing something completely right until you came in and realized they were missing something?
Well, so many.
Like all the time.
So the big one that we really get all the time is somebody that's looking at their return, and we do tax reviews for all of our clients, whether we're handling their taxes for them or not. But whenever we go over their return and they just say, I'm stuck. Like I'm maxing out my 401k at work. I'm taking advantage of my HSAs. I have these aspirations. I'm just kind of getting, killed at the pump kind of thing, of the money that I'm taking home after all these things are deducted. And so COVID really opened up a lot of, different ideas for people to have that side gig that ended up turning from a passion project into, maybe some revenue, as well as a lot of people getting displaced in the workforce. Now those 401ks are coming out of these plans and they're saying, now I have flexibility to go and buy that real estate property. Maybe I want to start that Airbnb either for revenue or just to have a second place to go and visit seasonally, which is really popular. Um, and so, I'll give you two scenarios. Working with super high income earners, think about like doctors, lawyers, maybe anesthesiologists or something like that are making really high W-2 wages. They kind of get tapped out after a while and they get sick of paying $150,000 a year sometimes in these high tax states like California and New York. Um, but if you can go and buy, a long-term rental or something like that, you go from being a W-2 earner.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Over to having passive income. And that can open a lot more doors for depreciation, for expenses, and kind of like complicating your tax environment a little bit differently. Also, speaking of Airbnbs, you take somebody like that, have them go buy a house and turn it into an Airbnb, you're getting probably 20 to 40% in deductions off the sell price of the house the year that you close on that property. And, you know, that can reduce your tax bill by a significant way if you're a high income earner or in a high tax state.
Yeah, I mean, all of this stuff, it really pays to work with somebody like you. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are like, oh, I could just do it myself or I'll figure it out. What would you say to those people?
Yeah. So, I mean, the good old, quote, when you're paying for advice, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, you get what you pay for. But I think doing due diligence and finding somebody that is going to be able to provide enough value for you. We always tell our clients that we try to make sure that each of the relationships that we bring on board, we're striving for net zero or net positive, to where that when we're looking at, managing money better in good times, managing money better in bad times is kind of where we really feel like we, outperform the market, is by avoiding risk when we can. But if we can find an extra couple $1,000s a year just by tax savings and being able to make you, a little bit more money tax free, I mean, those are those things that add up over a lifetime. Talk about that 1, 2, 3% extra a year. That's a lot of money over, a 20, 30 year time when you're working.
Yeah, and you can really plan for your future rather than just kind of, going month by month, year by year. It seems like you can actually make a plan and look ahead.
100%. Yeah. And there's a lot of deductions out there which people qualify for that they just aren't even aware of. So we always have like this, running joke with our clients where it's like, is your CPA working for you or the IRS? If you hear something on Instagram or TikTok and you go say, hey, how can I put my kids on payroll? And, they say, no, that's too high risk. We don't want to do that. How much time is spent convincing you to stop talking about it versus figuring out if you do qualify or how to do it? Those are those little things which we love to kind of go down in the weeds on. No tinfoil hats required by any means.
Yeah. Yeah, and how do you kind of balance that? Because I'm sure some of these things are high risk, and you obviously want to keep everybody very safe. How do you balance that?
Oh yeah, I think it's, at first, the expectation of document, document, document. Anytime that you're building out, a tax strategy, the last thing that, the IRS wants is, 300 million people with side gigs. And so, being able to have like a really built out plan, to be able to say, this is what I took advantage of, why, here's my documented hours and receipts. In social media, we always talk about keeping those receipts, on those
Yeah.
old tweets and comment boxes from the haters out there. But, it's one of those things we got to do the same thing in our life, in our finances and our expensive expenses, especially if we have a small business and family to fight for.
I'm sure you get a lot of people who get some advice on TikTok and come to you with a lot of stuff. Is some of
No,
that credible? Some of it's not credible, I'm sure.
No, it's, and it's funny. Your followers can probably like Google my name. Once they get past all the pages of the guy who, wrote the Golden Girls theme song, they'll see some, little bits of, posts, and we have some fun with different financial gurus out there. A lot of people providing financial advice. I mean, obviously Dave Ramsey is the elephant in the room. But you get both sides of it where it's like, if it sounds funny, it probably is, and you probably don't want to go ahead and do that. In an IRS audit, the last thing that's going to help you is saying, I saw this guy on TikTok.
Right.
So we got to have a good process and got to have some good team in place to protect you.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that anybody can make content on TikTok and they're not necessarily super knowledgeable about what they're talking about.
1 million
In your
percent.
case,
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
you are, but there's
Yeah,
a lot of people out there that aren't.
for sure. Yeah. And it's usually those ones that kind of like go against the stream that are meant to be those shock and awe pieces, which get the most attention.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, usually those aren't the best advice pieces that you want to take into an audit or implementing right away without talking to a professional for sure.
Yeah, and like kind of in that same realm, what about AI? Do you see people kind of trying to rely on like ChatGPT to help them manage their wealth?
Yeah, I mean, we get asked that all the time. I mean, Tax GPT came out, and the most important thing is, yeah, it can be like a shortcut answer to finding some good information, but it's still right now in its current phase is only about 90% accurate. And there was a situation, just recently, and I'm gonna kind of butcher this quote, but I'll paraphrase. There was a couple attorneys that were going into a situation where they were building out a case and used ChatGPT to make its references on some certain things in the past. And after it went through it, they ended up going and looking for the sources of the previous cases that were quoted in it. Came back that it was a Chat GPT reference, and it wasn't accurate at all. And there's no better way to make a judge's day. So let's not take that as anything more than a grain of salt to verify with some professionals for sure.
Yeah, it is wrong sometimes. Like it's
Yes.
not always right all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so
The
switching
AI
gears a little.
entire vision lost me whenever they started making videos. If anybody's ever looked at an AI photo or video, if they can't master the hands, how can we
Yeah,
master our tax code?
exactly. They really can't figure out those fingers. It's always too
Yeah.
many or not enough.
Yeah.
Switching gears a little bit, I know you guys do real estate consulting in-house. Like, what does that look like? How do you work with real estate professionals?
Yeah, so a lot of our clients kind of start either with what they know, and either they end up really concentrated in real estate, looking to diversify into traditional stocks, or they start with really dense portfolios of stocks and looking to take advantage of, diversification in real estate. And so, I think the beautiful thing about us is that there's a lot of different ways with which we work with clients. So it's not just a percentage-based fee on assets in-house. We can do a lot of things like quarterly tax planning. We can do annual once over reviews, and we can help introduce people not only to good funding sources if they're looking to raise capital, but also really, expansive people in their market to be able to find good deals. And anybody that's looked into real estate, there are real estate agents out there, and I'm not pouring hot water on CPAs and realtors all over the country by any means, but
Light
there's
them
a
on
lot of
fire.
yeah. There's a lot of real estate agents out there that just aren't as savvy with like the investment world. They're just working with individuals on primary residences, and it is a huge, mindset shift. So, employing good people in markets and trying to just find ways to find good deals that maybe not have hit the MLS yet, those are the great ones.
Yeah. And what are some of the financial blind spots that you see that a lot of these investors have?
But yeah, I think the misconception of thinking that you have to liquidate a 401k in order to buy real estate, that is probably one of the ones that, and the only person that's celebrating that event is the IRS. Whenever you pay, 20% in taxes and a 10% early withdrawal penalty just to go buy that rental property, it breaks my heart every time that happens.
Yeah.
But being able to really just focus on and dedicate time and learning more about how do I gain access to my money that I've earned years ago and use it to my advantage. Also looking at 401ks for what they are. I mean, you can access, most 401k plans can give you access up to $50,000 or 50% of your vested balance, self-directed IRAs as well to be able to buy those and defer the tax on them, treating them as a traditional investment. Those are all just obviously scratching the surface. but great ways to be able to avoid paying the tax man for sure.
Yeah. And then what are some of the opportunities you're seeing in the current landscape or market?
And the real estate market?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think right now that there's, a really significant portion of the homeowners right now that are holding on to 2 and 3 and 4% interest rate mortgages. And a lot of them, especially as they get older, their kids move out, they're looking to downsize and get into smaller houses or maybe looking to go someplace tropical. And, the problem is that most of them, because of the appreciation on real estate in general, they would have to go down in size and either be at the same price point at a higher interest rate than they were 5 years ago when they maybe even refinanced. So there's a lot of pent up demand and supply in that space right now. But what it's creating, and this kind of ties back into taxes, is that there's a lot of people that have paid off houses that would much rather sell or finance it to somebody so they can spread out their taxable gain over multiple years rather than having to rotate it in an exchange over to a new property or just pay the taxes up front in capital gains. So there's a lot of creative strategies that people are looking into, sub to being able to use creative finance, seller financing to be able to get access to those great deals and take advantage of, migration patterns across the US.
Amazing. Well, I feel like you have such good insight on, the market and just all of this in general. You have such a good from the tax side and the wealth management side. You have such a well-rounded view of it. And you guys service the country, correct?
Yeah, yeah. We actually just onboarded a client in Japan who's in the military. Shout out to all of our military fam. But we work all over the country. We have a lot of hubs in some of the big metros, California, DFW, obviously, the Northeast, Florida, Colorado. But we work with clients all over the country, and it makes it super easy to meet via Zoom. And just I always tell everybody that we meet online and get referred to. My time's free, so if we can spend an hour, make a friend, like let's do it.
Yeah. So how can people find you?
Yeah, so you can look at our website. It's pwealthmgmt.com. Also, I'm pretty active on Facebook. So if you go into Facebook and search for, professional pages, the tag is, at pwealthmgmt. Try to put a lot of good content on there for business owners, real estate investors, as well as our newsletter. Pretty active out there. So just happy to connect with anybody that's looking to learn a little bit more about the space.
Awesome. Well, I encourage everyone to reach out to Andrew and learn more about this. And thank you so much for being here today. This has been awesome.
No, absolutely. Thank you for having me. This is amazing.
Yay. Well, we're so happy everybody tuned in. Thank you so much. And we will see you next time.
Awesome.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.